Hello, hello, and welcome to episode 9 of the Hello Velocity podcast. And kudos to you for taking the time today to invest in yourself, even with a quick episode like this. My intention for you is that taking a few minutes to listen and learn something new, these thoughts and ideas can stick with you, and you'll continue to think about them in the future and continue to inspire you to take new actions and move forward on your goals and your progress a lot quicker than you were doing before. So it all starts here. And for today's episode, we're going to be talking about procrastination. So we're continuing our self-reflection topics and diving a bit deeper today. I'm sure most people have heard the term procrastination before. Most people self-identify with this, but I want to give you some new ways to think about it, some new ways to look at it, and see how we might be able to either adapt your own behavior or become more aware of the people around you, and maybe the people that you're working with might be doing some of these habits as well, and see how we can support other people better as well. So at a high level, procrastination is that idea of avoiding or delaying doing something, whether it's starting something or completing something. I see it on both ends. I find this one really important for us to understand better because it's one of those that has us wasting a ton of energy, and we're literally delaying our goals and our progress. Not only that, but we're usually stressing ourselves out along the way. We're wasting more energy, we're wasting time, when really we could be doing things a lot differently and feeling a lot better along the way. So my hope for you is that by understanding procrastination better today, we can approach things in a new way that will be less stressful, a lot easier for you and for those around you as well that you're working with. And a quick story here today. It was really funny as I was getting ready this morning, and I told my husband that I was recording a podcast episode today. He asked what the topic was. I said procrastination, and he busted out laughing because today is Friday. My podcast episodes are released Sunday morning, and I'm recording this episode 2 days before it goes live. So it's a little bit of a quick turnaround for me. Usually I try to do them further in advance. So one might say I myself have procrastinated recording this episode, and it's pretty funny that we all do it. I'm guilty of it myself. I'm aware of it, and I continue to work on it. And honestly, it could be worse. I could be doing this Saturday or Sunday. What I want us to focus in more specifically today when it comes to procrastination is I found there's 3 different types of procrastination I see most often, both myself and my clients. And some people may relate with all 3 of these, with 2 of these, with 1 of these, but a lot of times they can go hand in hand as well. And I want us to take some time to dive deeper into each of these to understand more what it looks like, the motives behind it, and then what specifically you can do if this one resonates with you. The first and most common type of procrastination that I tend to see is what I call deadline procrastination. And this is most common, and what you probably think about when you hear procrastination is that you avoid working on something unless there's a deadline, and then you still wait until you're pretty close to the deadline to either get started or to finish it. So these are for the people who say they thrive under pressure or they need a deadline to motivate me. I'm gonna raise my hand here because this is exactly the category that I fall into most of the time, and the story I was sharing earlier about recording this episode. How this type of procrastination usually shows up for people is that you have a deadline, you know it's coming up, and you still wait until closer to the end of the deadline. Then you're scrambling to get something done at the last minute. You're maybe more stressed those last few days, those last few hours trying to get it done. Your heart rate is really high as you're working on it. Maybe you get that tension in your shoulders. You're really stressed and can feel it in your body, and you can feel it while you're working on it. Sometimes you're actually working on something you don't want to be working on, so you're actually trying to avoid it, and you just put it off simply because you don't want to be doing it or aren't excited about doing it. Or there's also the types where people want everything to be perfect in order to work on something, so it's almost perfectionism meets procrastination tends to be in this bucket as well. And I think for me, that is where I come in as well, is that I want, especially for recording podcasts, I want my energy to be best. I want my notes and outlines to be the best that they can, and I want everything prepared as well. as I can so that the episodes turn out as great as they can be. A lot of times when people are putting something off like this and waiting for the deadline is that it's something new and they're simply scared of it. They might be intimidated by it. They might not be feeling very confident going into it. So there's some sort of fear there that's holding them back. So they find it easier to avoid the fear and instead kind of compact it until the end and then just power through it. And then it feels like, you're ripping the band-aid off at the last second instead of spending more time in the fear doing the thing along the way. Other times, people simply aren't clear on what they need to be doing, so they're lacking some sort of structure along the way. They may know what the project is, what the goal is, what the end result needs to look like, and they have a deadline, but maybe they are completely overwhelmed with how to even get there. They don't know where to start. They don't know what all it's going to take to get there, so they put it off and don't even think about how long it'll take for them to work on it, and then just assume, the day before or 2 days before, they'll just power through it and it'll be what it is and they'll get done what they get done. And then for the people who think that they actually do their best work under pressure and that this can motivate them more and think that they do their best work in the last hour going into the project, I would really challenge you to reevaluate that and to try something different and see how your results change. See how you feel differently while you're working on it. Because a lot of times, I'd say, and what I've seen time and time again with myself and with my clients, is that, yeah, you can do a really good job when you're in the last minute, you feel that pressure, you're super motivated, you can get it done, but you're still more likely to make mistakes. You still have less time to go through, check your work, think about it a little bit more, go a little bit deeper in your planning and your intention going into it. So if you try something new and think through your project more in advance, spend more time on it, or spread out your work and not feel so stressed while you're working on it, I bet you'll get to even better results. You get to an even higher level of success that you may not even have known was possible because you've been actually holding yourself back thinking, oh, I do a really good job under pressure. And everyone says, these are great. How do you do this? It's so good. When honestly, you could be doing even better with less stress, with less last minute anxiety. And hey, not to mention, you can actually sleep the night before this is due and you're not staying up all night trying to finish something. So some tangible ideas for you if you tend to be motivated by a deadline and procrastinate until the last minute and are working till the 11th hour to get something done. First, I recommend when you first get that deadline, when you first get that project or that goal that you're working towards, definitely try doing a brain dump of just listing out all of the things you need to do in order to get this project done. Map it out, assign some milestones along the way for yourself so that you have more deadlines and not just the one deadline at the end. But we want to break down the work even more to give you those steps along the way, keep you on track so you're not just trying to do everything in the last minute. And if you need even higher stakes than your own milestones, I'd say get some sort of accountability buddy with the milestones along the way, so that someone is either checking in with you or you're checking in with someone else on those milestones to make sure you're actually making progress. Because a lot of times when we're in this boat, getting started can be the hardest part. So once we take that first step, it becomes so much easier to do the rest as well. So we need someone maybe to help us stay accountable, to get started, to start making progress along the way, and make it simple for yourself to make those small steps along the way. You can be well rested, well energized going into it and not cramming everything into the last minute and not doing as well as you could be if you had more space and time and energy to think along the way. The next type of procrastination that I see a lot is what I call productive procrastination, where you are filling your time with things that feel productive but aren't actually moving you forward towards your goal or your project. So these are the people who say things like, I'm just so busy, I haven't gotten to that yet. And a lot of times it's a misunderstanding of their priorities, or they're simply not even looking at their priorities, and they are trying to just stay busy for the sake of being busy. What this looks like is doing all of the easy parts of a project, or maybe you're doing all the behind the scenes parts of a goal, like the researching, the planning, the preparation, but not actually doing the thing that will move the goal forward. So an easy example here is, say you're a salesperson and you're creating all of your lists, your contact lists, you're creating templates and processes and using the software to get everything prepped. but you haven't actually reached out to a potential client yet. You're doing the productive procrastination where you still feel productive, you're still doing things related to the goal or the project, but you're not doing the main things that will actually move you forward. Another way I've seen this come up is when I was in corporate America and I worked from home. There were times when I found myself cleaning my house instead of doing work projects because it was something I was putting off, it was something I wasn't excited about, or whatever it was. And I realized, if I would rather be cleaning a toilet than working on this project, something might be wrong. Usually the reasoning behind this type of procrastination is either what I just shared is that it's something you don't want to be doing, you have some sort of resistance to it, it's not in alignment for you, or again, there's some sort of fear of either failure or success. Maybe it's a lack of confidence in the thing that you're doing, or again, it could be something that's new and you don't know how to do the big scary part of the project, so you're going to fill your time with the easy, knock some things off your to-do list and see how far that can get you. One of my favorite techniques to help people who are in this boat when it's some sort of fear of failure, fear of success going on there, is to actually walk you through the worst case scenario. So a lot of times we have this fear of what the worst case scenario is, and we kind of get it all jumbled in our head. We jump to what that worst case scenario could be, and then our thoughts just kind of get stuck there and we ruminate in it and we maybe play it over and over again in our head. But what's more helpful is to actually, if you're going to go there in your mind, to actually play it out to see how you would respond to that worst case scenario. And this is a great practice of just building trust in yourself, building trust in your future self. And that can build a lot of confidence for yourself to try something new. So a good example I've seen and worked through myself and with plenty of clients is, say you have a big presentation coming up that you're getting really nervous about. Maybe you're even putting off the preparation for it because you're honestly scared for it. Well, what is the worst that could happen? Say it's some sort of pitch in front of a client. Worst case scenario, maybe they walk out of the room while you're presenting. Okay, then what would you do? You would probably stop your presentation. You would maybe realize that they're not a good fit for you either, and you wouldn't want to work with someone who would be that disrespectful in a work meeting. So maybe you saved yourself a lot of stress and headaches anyways. So something as simple as that, just think through what you're most scared of. What is that actual thing, that worst case scenario? And how would you respond in that moment? And it helps you realizing it's honestly not that scary most of the time. And it's usually something you can think of in the moment, how I would handle that situation. And it's not that bad. Honestly, it sounds bad in the moment when you say, oh, someone walked out in a meeting. But then, okay, what are the repercussions? What's going to happen next is, okay, you didn't get that client anyways. Okay, you are probably better off without working with them, right? You're saving yourself all those future headaches and stress and time working with a difficult client. Another piece here to consider for people who do this style of procrastination with the productive procrastination is to think about your priorities and get really clear on those. Because again, a lot of the times we're focused on the things that aren't going to move the project forward that quickly. So you need to really evaluate your list of priorities, your to-dos, and think about the high impact tasks and start to prioritize those most. And I'm not saying you don't need to do the other little easy things too, but maybe we start to layer those in differently in our day-to-day and think about, okay, when do you have the most energy in your workday? Are you more of a morning person? Are you right after lunch, towards the end of the day? And use that time for the harder tasks to get those done, to knock them out. And then you can reward yourself, quote unquote, reward yourself after that with some of the easy things. It's just a simple mindset trick to help motivate you in the moment and to do it as best as you can when you have the energy to do it. Instead of using all of your good energy on the easy tasks, we want to use our good energy on the harder tasks to make them easier for us. All right, our last style of procrastination that I see all the time is distracted procrastination. So this is when you are doing unrelated tasks to your goal or project as a way to distract yourself from doing the work that you need to be doing. What this one usually looks like for myself or my clients is the mindless scrolling on social media, binging TV shows, or even if you're in an office, it's that water cooler talk, it's the chit chat with people for too long when you need to be getting something done. Typically, when people are in this boat, they're saying things like, I just don't have time to do that. I'm just so overwhelmed or anxious to do that. But really, there's something deeper going on. Usually, what I see when you're in this distracted procrastination is one of the following is that you're usually not even sure where to get started on your project. You might be overwhelmed entirely about all the things you need to be doing. So you're starting to just shut down and you don't want to do any of the things. Maybe sometimes you can't see the vision of where you're headed, of all the projects or all the goals that you're working on and how they can all come together in the long term. So you're too focused on the short term and can't see that long term project, that long term vision for yourself as motivation. And a lot of times we truly are anxious, we're overwhelmed, we have so much on our plate, it's hard to see clearly. So again, we kind of shut down and say, okay, I'm so burnt out, I'm so overwhelmed, I have so much on my plate, I don't even know where to start. So I don't even want to focus on any of this right now. I need to try to feel better and try to not feel anxious. So you go to some of these activities that make you feel good in the moment and distract you from the anxiety, from the burnout, from the overwhelm. But a lot of times they're making you worse off. They're not actually, filling your cup or re-energizing you. They're probably draining you in a different way and you can't quite see it in the moment because maybe you are getting that quick dopamine hit from social media or it feels good to be chit-chatting with people at work. But really, are you refilling your cup or are you gossiping and draining that cup? So a few ideas to help you when you're in this boat is, first of all, get really clear on your why. What is your motivation? What is that big picture view? Because again, a lot of times when we're in this boat, we're overwhelmed. We're so stuck thinking in the short term, moment to moment, hour to hour. I want you to take that step back and look at the bigger picture and see why am I even doing this? What is my intention behind this? Where am I headed? This will help you get that clarity and you can then back into some bite-sized steps for yourself so that you're not so overwhelmed thinking about all the things I need to be doing. You can start to prioritize and approach things a lot easier. And I want you to think about what are those mindless activities that you're doing to distract yourself and what are you really getting from those? Is it just a habit that you pull up social media when you are overwhelmed, when you're not sure what to do next on a project, when you're frustrated at work? Okay, what are you actually getting from social media? Are you getting anything from it? Or is it just distracting you from the frustration? But then you're spending an hour on it and then you're delaying your project an hour and wasting an hour and then putting yourself more and more behind when you're already really busy. So again, I use that example. It comes up all the time. And this is usually the case is that we think we're actually helping ourselves or we think we're feeling better in the moment when we're on social media. But social media honestly gives people more anxiety than it helps. So let's think about what you get from that distraction. Is it really helping or is it hurting? If it's hurting, how can you break up with that habit, with that distraction, so that you can focus on what needs to get done? And again, if it's some sort of apps on your phone, think about different apps that can block those apps. I know it's counterintuitive. We need more apps to block apps. It's a weird time in our society, but there are plenty of out there that can be really helpful. And you can block them for certain hours during your workday, or maybe something as simple as leave your phone in the other room when you're trying to do focused work. When you're frustrated about something and you really need to focus, or you need those 2 hours of deep focus work a day, put your phone in the other room, go on silent mode for your phone. For notifications, even an hour, 2 hours a day can be super helpful to give you that focus time and stop being so distracted. And if you need more help with that, listen to last week's episode about breaking up with bad habits, and that will be really helpful too. What are other activities that you could do that could help fill your cup, that could help re-energize you, that could be more beneficial habits that aren't distracting you, but they're actually refueling you to be able to focus more, to help you prioritize, to help you re-energize? So something as simple as going for a quick walk, that always helps me when I'm feeling frustrated or anxious about something I'm working on and I need a break before I can really get into it. I go for a walk. It just shakes up my energy. It helps me release the frustrations. And it's a really simple tool you can do literally anywhere. Or is it an intentional conversation with someone else? Do you need to vent something out? Do you need to brainstorm a new idea with someone? Do you need to just shake up that energy in a different way, in a more productive way, instead of, gossiping or the water cooler talk that isn't productive or helpful that might drain your energy. Instead, what are those types of conversations that would actually help you move forward and get past this funk that you're in? All right, so our key takeaways today about procrastination are the three main styles of procrastination I see are the deadline procrastination, where it would be helpful to have milestones along the way to continue to make progress on those goals. Then we have the productive procrastination, where you can help yourself by identifying your priorities and reclaiming your fears. And then the distracted procrastination, where you can help yourself by gaining more clarity of your motivation, having more bite-sized steps, and reevaluating what those distracted activities are. All right, I hope you are thinking about procrastination for yourself and for others a little bit differently now and have specific tools that you can use to work through it and save yourself a lot of time, a lot of energy, and some stress. That's it for today. I'll see you in the next episode.